Hey, what is going on, you guys? This is Tim Odell with OdellCompleteConcrete, and today what I'm going to be doing is taking you guys along on an artificial turf job that me and my buddy completed, Sam. We both work for my dad, and this was a job that we were doing after work, after hours, and we're going to be taking about 3 inches of dirt out of this job. And the job was roughly 120 square feet, 120 to 140, somewhere around there. And I didn't have a string line on me or anything like that, so I just broke out my DeWalt laser level. I just set the grade to the concrete height, and then I was just going to use a small little stake and a measuring tape to check my levels, see how deep I was overall for the whole job, which is I wanted about 3 inches overall. So I was just checking this first little piece that we dug out, so I can pretty much just go off of that and just eyeball everything, and then go back with the laser level and check and make sure that was 3 inches overall. And the great thing was about this job was I didn't have to pay any dump fees for this job because I took all the dirt to Brea, this landfill spot where they're just taking free dirt. So if you're in Orange County and you need a spot to dump dirt, Brea is the place to go. They take free dirt. So that was pretty nice, and that was a nice little money saver. The dirt was pretty soft as well, since we've been getting a lot of rain in Southern California, which is good and bad. Bad for work, good for, the drought. So this was actually a job that me and Sam were going to after hours working with my dad. We'd hit the morning shift with my dad, and then after work we'd go to this job, which made us on a tight schedule since a lot of the places that we need to go to close around 5 p.m. These two main places being the dump and where we pick up the base material, which both closed fairly early, about 3 to 4 like I was saying. So my options for getting base material was limited. Now the base material we picked up isn't the normal base material I usually get for laying artificial turf on top of. The base material I picked up was a 3/4 aggregate and a little larger rocks than normal. Normally I would get something like a sandy concrete base, usually something about 1/8 of aggregate inside or less. But I mean, this still works, and this is actually a very strong base as well for turf. The only thing I don't like about this base is the 3/4 aggregate that seems to always be protruding from the base, even after you've compacted it, for a good amount of time. So it makes it a little bit harder to lay the artificial turf down flat. You see Sam, he's using the big rake, trying to get a nice flat surface for us. The flatter the surface you can get the base material, the better you're going to be off when you start laying down the turf, with no air pockets underneath. And that was the goal for this, really. So we got this base nice and wet, and we went right over it with the compactor. And I compacted this thing for a good 30 minutes or so, non-stop, just going over it. So it made the surface really nice and hard. And then I just checked it with level, making sure that everything's draining right into the turf area. And to make sure that it's draining away from the house, because we don't want the water going towards the house. So I built up the base rock a little bit higher against the house, but just enough under the weepscrete so that if any water, hits the stucco, it gets behind the stucco, it would drain out under the weepscrete. Now here's the artificial turf that we got. We get our artificial turf actually at Tiger Turf, so it's a pretty reasonable place, reasonably priced, and I think their product's really nice and good. My buddy Edgar is the one that recommended me to them, and he's the one that has shown me how to do artificial turf. If you guys have seen one of our last videos of an artificial turf video, he was the one installing the whole job. So pretty much we used a 15 by 10 piece for this job, so there's no seams involved. One nice flat seamless artificial turf space, which is ideal because then you don't have to have any seams and it's just nice and seamless. So it makes it look really a lot better. You can always hide the seams and everything, but you know, if you don't have to, then I would recommend not to. Now here I am cutting out this artificial turf around this drain, and pretty much to get a straight cut you just follow the seams where the artificial turf blades are sewed into. I believe I got some more close-ups later on, so you guys will be able to see that a little better. And then right here I'm actually having to cut across the artificial turf sewed in seams, so that makes it a little more difficult to get straight cuts. But so long as you have a good eye and you keep checking by putting it back up against whatever you're butting it up against, you should be okay. And all that side where that blue stuff is on the edge of the artificial turf, will be taking that off for sure. Can't use that stuff. Now there's say I'm cutting the long piece down, and I'm just getting a closer view for you guys to show you how it's done if you've never done artificial turf before. Just follow the seam straight down. Make sure you're pretty much flush butt up right against the artificial or the concrete, because later on at the very end we tuck the very end into the dirt and between, pretty much right between the base and the concrete, so that no weeds will grow up between the artificial turf and concrete. Nah, I'll show that later on in the video. Now what I have in my hand right now is called a knee kicker. Use it a lot in carpeting, and where we're going to be starting off actually is against the wall, and we're putting a ton of nails, and these are 6-inch galvanized nails. We're putting a bunch of these in to make sure that this turf does not lift up and we have no problems in the future. And the secret to making sure that these nails are hidden is when you're putting the nails in, what you want to do is have another nail, and you pretty much just grab the blades back with one of the nails and then drive the hammer in. And then at the very end, once you've driven the nail in, you just come back with the nail and pick any blades that might have got caught by the nail, as he's doing right now. He's picking any blades that might have been caught when hammering the head down. And that's how we did every single nail, making sure not to grab any blades when driving the nails in, because then your turf is going to look kind of like a Dalmatian, and you don't want that. So we're just trying to get this turf as flat as possible. Oh, and right there what I did was I snapped a chalk line across this turf, so that, because we're going against the seams right now where the artificial turf blades are sewed into, so we wanted to get a straight line. So we just snapped a line where we needed to cut so that we can get it nice and tight against that house. And then I'm over there at the corner with the knee kicker, and I'm gonna start getting any loose turf pulled to the edge towards the house. And Sam's just cleaning up the edge near the concrete if there's any like turf that needs to be cut back a little bit, so that we can flush it really nice and close up against it, and with enough to tuck under it. So you can see there I am hitting with the knee kicker, and you can see I'm pulling the turf where it needs to be pulled a little bit to make sure that everything gets nice and flat. And now me and Sam are doing the whole artificial turf space, going one direction, pulling it in one way, so that as we keep going, we can keep putting nails in, keep it locked in place, and then keep kicking it, towards one direction. And then I went back and hit all the nails in, and Sam handled all the edges. And again, guys, the base is a very important factor when putting artificial turf in, because if you don't have the right base, you're gonna be struggling with those kind of little bumps and pockets that we had. That's why I had to use a knee kicker so much to straighten out this turf. So as you can see, guys, in the bottom of the screen, it's starting to rain on us. It's starting to sprinkle a little bit on us, so I was really trying to struggle and get that pet friendly infill in as fast as I could before it really started to pour on us, which we did get it in time before the rain started to hit us, and got everything spread out evenly with the power sweeper. But once you put all the sand fill in, even if you put it in a little heavy in some areas, you can always spread it out. It just takes a little bit longer, but it's better to get, I believe you would want, depending on how much traffic flow you're going to be having, about 1 pound of infill per square foot. And then, like I was saying earlier in the video, guys, this is the tucking the edges in so that no weeds can grow up on the corner ends. You just tuck those edges in right between the crevice of the concrete and the base. And this is pretty much the final product. So if you guys have any questions or some things were unclear of how I explained them, just let me know, guys, and I'll try to work on it in the future. But I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, guys. We really appreciate it. Have a good day.